Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. Oh, hallelujah. And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, and so that day come upon you unawares. For as a snare shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. Watch ye therefore, and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. Did you see that? Jesus just put it clear. Because something's going to happen to the whole world, he says. But you can escape all those things. That means you will not be there. So he tells us to live according to his word. He says, heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away. What an assurance. He's telling you that what he has said is sure. My brothers and sisters, the word shows us that these things will be fulfilled towards the ending of time. And it says 2,000 years will pass, and all those things will come to pass. And we are at the ending of those 2,000 years. And we're truly seeing all the signs of the prophetic manifesting right before our eyes. How shall we escape if we neglect so great salvation? How are you going to escape if you neglect this salvation? How will you escape? How? How? We have to count ourselves blessed that we see these things. We see the manifestation of his word. It's so amazing. It's so amazing. What others prophesied, we are living in. And many of them, when they prophesied, they didn't know how those things could happen. Some were thought to be false prophets because those things didn't come to pass after 10 years, after 20 years. But Daniel was told it will happen in the latter time. Hallelujah. He said, in the latter time, that's when this will happen. He said, close the book, Daniel. He said, it's for an appointed time. He says, at the time of the end, it shall happen. And now we're seeing them right before our eyes. Had he said 3,000 years, we would know we have 1 more 1,000 years to go. Had he said 2,500, we would know we have more time to go. How close we've got. Let me show you that timeline one more time and just explain 3 options. Remember, the rapture itself does not have a sign. In other words, it can happen anytime. Anytime. But we have a final place beyond which it cannot go. That's why I have those lines there for you. Could happen anytime. But then had it happened somewhere here, would have had to wonder, what will be happening all this time? Because he will not return until after 2 days. You see that? So you'd have been wondering, so all those years after, what would have been happening? We don't know. But sure enough, it seems much more like somewhere here. Somewhere here. Because all this is already past. We're somewhere around here. Count it yourself. We said the other day, if you take that day when he walked out of the temple, as 30 AD. Some have said 29 AD. I said if you take the range of 4 BC to 2 BC for his birth, somewhere you will come to the range of what we said. And if we're just taking an average and we come to 30 AD, 2000 from there will come to 2030. And from now, from 2020 to 2030 is 10 years. Which means that it cannot exceed 10 years before the man of sin is revealed. Because you have 7 years. Either after that, now here are the 3 options. 7 years, either after, or within, or across. Do you understand? If it is after, then you have, before he comes back will be 7 plus 10. That's 17 years. Before Jesus comes back. 7 for the tribulation. 10 years before the Antichrist shows up. You see that? So 17 years in all, and Jesus shows up. If it is after. If it is inside, you have 3 years before he shows up. If it is across, you have 6.5 years before he shows up. But because 2020 has gone past 6 months already, you're in September, that means you have just 6 years. Which means, if it doesn't happen in 3 years, it might be 6. If it doesn't happen in 6, cannot exceed 10.
Yes, sir.
Cannot exceed 10. There have been lots of speculations by different people before. And if you have followed carefully the scriptures that I've showed you, you will understand immediately why it didn't happen when some thought it would. Okay? Because I gave you several scriptures. And I gave you evidences from his teachings and also direct prophecies for you to understand it's 2,000 years. And obviously, the 2 days were not 2 24-hour days. They were 2,000. And the third one was 1,000. Because 3 days passed after the prophet spoke. And of course, the prophet knew that was not the time. You know. Yeah. So you look at the word, and you have more than enough evidence. More than enough evidence. How short the time is for us to do all the things we got to do. And it will let you understand why these guys, they say 2030 is the year that they must have everybody vaccinated and everybody chipped. 2030 is the goal by Gavi and MIT. Think about it. So even Satan has been trying to understand the scriptures and pushing his guys. So they have a goal. And there's another, I mean, there are lots of things are planned. Anyway, you know, I don't major so much on what they want to do during the period that we are not here. See, but what they cannot do between now and then, we have to insist such things don't happen. And since Jesus gave us power, and he says, over all the power of the enemy, he says, I give you authority over all the power of the enemy. We must exercise it. And on the 25th of this month into 26th, we're having a global prayer day. That will be our third global prayer day for the year. We have one more after that. So, because we're going to have 4 in a year. So, except, of course, if there's any need for calling anyone before then. But this Friday, 25th into 26th, Friday into Saturday, we're going to be having a global prayer day. And we have several of our ministers around the world that are going to be joining us in conducting prayer sessions. Pastor Benny Hinn is also going to be with us on this program.